What if I told you that some of the biggest R&B hits came from artists you barely remember? One song made them stars overnight, but just as fast as they rose, they vanished. No follow-up hit, no second chance. Fame slipped through their fingers like sand. Behind the smooth vocals and radio-friendly beats were broken contracts, bad management, and sometimes even deeper struggles. This isn't just about musicians, about dreams that crashed after one brief moment in the spotlight. These are 15 R&B stars who were forgotten after just one hit, and the reasons why will leave you stunned. 15. Mark Morrison. Leicester, England, gave us one of the smoothest voices in R&B history, but most people only know Mark Morrison for one song. Return of the Mac wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural phenomenon that dominated 1996. The track spent weeks at #1 in the UK and became a top 2 hit in the United States. But here's the thing about lightning in a bottle. It's nearly impossible to capture twice. Morrison released several follow-up singles, including Crazy and Trippin', but none came close to matching the success of his signature song. His debut album went platinum, but subsequent releases failed to generate the same buzz. Legal troubles and industry disputes didn't help his cause either. Today, when people think of Mark Morrison, they think of one song, and honestly, what a song it is. Return of the Mac remains one of the greatest R&B tracks ever recorded, but it also became both his blessing and his curse. 14. Glenn Lewis. Toronto's Glenn Lewis burst onto the scene in 2002 with Don't You Forget It, a neo-soul masterpiece that showcased his incredible vocal range and songwriting ability. The track was everything R&B fans were craving, authentic, soulful, and reminiscent of the genre's golden era. Radio stations couldn't get enough of it, and Lewis seemed poised to become the next big thing in R&B. His debut album, World Outside My Window, received critical acclaim and featured collaborations with some of the industry's top producers. Lewis had all the ingredients for sustained success: a powerful voice, strong writing skills, and that rare ability to make modern R&B feel timeless. But sometimes the music industry is unpredictable. Despite releasing additional albums and singles, Lewis never managed to recapture the mainstream attention that Don't You Forget It brought him. The irony isn't lost on anyone. A song called Don't You Forget It came from an artist who was largely forgotten by mainstream audiences. Lewis continued making music and maintained a loyal fan base, particularly in Canada, but he never achieved another crossover hit. 13. Adina Howard. Few R&B songs were as provocative and bold as Adina Howard's Freak Like Me. Released in 1995, the track was unapologetically sexual and confident, with Howard declaring her intentions over a hypnotic beat that demanded attention. The song shot to #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and established Howard as one of R&B's most daring artists. The song's success opened doors for other female R&B artists to be more explicit about their desires and sexuality. It was a cultural moment that went beyond just music. But controversy can be a double-edged sword. While Freak Like Me made Howard famous, it also typecast her in the industry's eyes. Her subsequent releases, including What's Love Got to Do with It and Freak and You Know It, failed to achieve the same level of success. Howard continued recording and performing, but she never escaped the shadow of her debut hit. Today, she's remembered almost exclusively for that one bold statement of sexual freedom that shocked and thrilled listeners in the mid-90s. 12. Rebbie Jackson. Being a Jackson comes with enormous expectations, and Rebbie Jackson learned this firsthand. As the eldest of the Jackson siblings, she entered the music industry later than her famous brothers and sisters. But when she did, she made an immediate impact with Centipede in 1984. The song, written and produced by her brother Michael, was a perfect blend of pop and R&B that showcased Rebbie's strong vocals. Centipede reached the top 25 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a massive hit on R&B radio. The track had all the hallmarks of Jackson family success: infectious melody, polished production, and undeniable star power. Despite the success of Centipede, Rebbie struggled to establish her own identity separate from her famous family name. Her subsequent releases, while competent, never generated the same excitement or commercial success. She continued recording throughout the 1980s and 1990s, but none of her later work resonated with audiences the way her debut single did. Rebbie Jackson became known as the Jackson sibling who had one major hit, a footnote in the family's musical legacy rather than a major chapter. 11. Jimmy Cozier. Jimmy Cozier's She's All I Got was the kind of smooth, romantic R&B that made hearts flutter and relationships stronger. Released in 2001, the song showcased Cozier's impressive vocal abilities and his knack for crafting deeply emotional love songs. Radio stations embraced the track, and it became a favorite for slow dances and romantic moments. The song's success seemed to position Cozier as a rising star in the neo-soul movement. His voice had that perfect combination of power and vulnerability that great R&B demands. She's All I Got demonstrated his ability to convey deep emotion and connect with listeners on an intimate level. But the music industry can be unforgiving, and Cozier discovered this when his follow-up releases failed to capture the same magic. Despite releasing additional albums and working with respected producers, he never achieved another hit on the level of She's All I Got. The song remains a beloved R&B classic, frequently appearing on slow jams compilations and romantic playlists, but Jimmy Cozier's name rarely comes up in discussions of R&B's leading men. He created one perfect moment of musical romance, but couldn't sustain that momentum throughout his career. 10. Uncle Sam. I Don't Ever Want to See You Again by Uncle Sam was a breakup anthem that resonated with anyone who had ever been hurt by love. The song's emotional intensity and Uncle Sam's passionate vocal delivery made it an instant hit in 1997. It was the kind of track that captured raw emotion and translated it into musical gold. The song dealt with the pain of betrayal and the difficulty of moving on from a toxic relationship. Uncle Sam's vocals conveyed both anger and vulnerability, making the track feel authentic and relatable. Radio stations couldn't ignore the song's emotional impact, and it became a major hit on R&B charts. However, Uncle Sam's career trajectory followed a familiar pattern. Despite the success of his breakthrough hit, he struggled to find another song that connected with audiences in the same way. His subsequent releases showed his continued vocal prowess, but none achieved the commercial success or emotional impact of I Don't Ever Want to See You Again. Today, Uncle Sam is remembered primarily for that one powerful expression of heartbreak, a cautionary tale about love gone wrong that continues to resonate with listeners decades later. 9. Rebbie Jackson. Being part of the Jackson family meant high expectations, and Rebbie felt that pressure from the start. As the oldest Jackson sibling, she stayed out of the spotlight for years. But in 1984, she finally made her move with Centipede, written and produced by none other than her brother Michael. The song had all the right elements, a catchy hook, slick production, and Rebbie's surprisingly powerful vocals. It climbed into the Billboard Top 25 and lit up R&B radio across the country. But what looked like a promising launch quickly fizzled. Her follow-up singles and albums never found the same success. Despite continuing to release music through the late 80s and early 90s, Rebbie couldn't escape her family's overwhelming shadow. The spotlight never fully landed on her again. Today, Centipede is a nostalgic gem, but Rebbie is remembered more as Michael's sister than as a lasting R&B star. 8. Javier. Javier's Crazy was a slow-burning R&B ballad that showcased one of the smoothest voices of the late 1990s. The song's sensual production and Javier's intimate vocal style created an atmosphere of romance and desire that was impossible to ignore. Crazy became a favorite on Quiet Storm radio formats and established Javier as an artist to watch. But the music industry's fickleness struck again. Despite the critical acclaim and radio success of Crazy, Javier never managed to follow it up with another hit of similar magnitude. His subsequent releases showcased his continued vocal excellence, but none achieved the same level of commercial success or cultural impact. Today, Javier is remembered primarily for that one moment of romantic perfection, a reminder that great art doesn't always translate into sustained commercial success. 7. Rome. Rome's Every Time I See Your Face was a heartfelt ballad that captured the essence of young love and romantic longing. Released in the mid-1990s, the song showcased Rome's impressive vocal range and his ability to convey deep emotion through his performance. The track became a favorite among R&B fans who appreciated its sincerity and musical craftsmanship. The song's production was perfectly suited to Rome's vocal style, creating a lush backdrop that allowed his voice to shine. Every Time I See Your Face dealt with the overwhelming feelings that come with being deeply in love, and Rome's delivery made every word feel genuine and heartfelt. It was the kind of song that made listeners believe in the power of love. Unfortunately, Rome's career followed the same pattern as many one-hit wonders. Despite his obvious talent and the success of his breakthrough single, he never achieved another hit that resonated with audiences in the same way. His subsequent releases demonstrated his continued vocal abilities, but they failed to capture the same emotional intensity or commercial appeal. Rome remains a footnote in R&B history, remembered for one beautiful expression of romantic devotion. 6. CeCe Peniston. CeCe Peniston's Finally was more than just a hit. It was an anthem of liberation and joy that defined early 1990s dance music. The song's infectious energy and Peniston's powerful vocals made it an instant classic that dominated dance floors and radio stations worldwide. Finally wasn't just popular, it was transformative, helping to bridge the gap between R&B and dance music. The track's success was unprecedented. Finally reached the top of the dance charts and became a crossover hit that appealed to audiences across multiple genres. Despite releasing several albums and additional singles, Peniston never matched the massive success of Finally. Her other releases, while showcasing her continued vocal excellence, failed to achieve the same level of cultural impact or commercial success. Today, CeCe Peniston is remembered almost exclusively for that one moment of pure musical joy, though what a moment it was. Finally remains a beloved classic that continues to fill dance floors and lift spirits more than 3 decades after its release. 5. City High. City High's What Would You Do tackled serious social issues with a compelling narrative and infectious beat that made it impossible to ignore. The song told the story of a young mother forced into difficult circumstances, addressing themes of poverty, desperation, and survival with remarkable sensitivity and insight. It was conscious hip-hop and R&B at its finest. The track's success was both commercial and critical. What Would You Do reached the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sparked important conversations about social responsibility and economic inequality. The group's ability to address serious topics, while creating undeniably catchy music, demonstrated their artistic sophistication and social awareness. City High followed up with another hit, Caramel, featuring Eve, which also achieved commercial success. However, internal conflicts and industry pressures led to the group's breakup before they could capitalize on their momentum. Today, City High is remembered primarily for asking that important question: what would you do if your son were at home, crying all alone on the bedroom floor? 4. Gregory Abbott. Gregory Abbott's Shake You Down was smooth, sexy, and impossible to ignore. The slow jam topped the Billboard Hot 100 and became the ultimate R&B seduction track of the 1980s. Abbott's soft delivery and stripped-down production hit just the right emotional tone. With a music background and an ear for detail, he crafted a song that felt both intimate and timeless. But lightning didn't strike twice. His follow-up songs never made the same impact, and despite real talent, his name slowly faded from R&B conversations. Shake You Down still plays on retro playlists, but Abbott's moment came and went like a passing dream. 3. Blu Cantrell. Hit 'em Up Style was Blu Cantrell's moment of pure fire. The catchy revenge anthem stormed the charts, landed in the Billboard Top 5, and became every woman's go-to breakup song. Blu's bold vocals and polished edge made it unforgettable. But after that explosive debut, the spotlight dimmed. Even with strong follow-ups and big-name collabs, nothing matched her first hit. She kept performing, but that one track became both her biggest triumph and the shadow she couldn't outrun. Today, Blu is remembered for one flawless, furious anthem of heartbreak. 2. Truth Hurts. Truth Hurts looked unstoppable when Addictive dropped in 2002. Produced by Dr. Dre and featuring Rakim, the song had a hypnotic beat and seductive vocals that made it a massive hit. But behind the scenes, trouble was brewing. The track sampled an Indian song without proper clearance, triggering a shocking $500 million lawsuit that hit like a bomb. That lawsuit ruined all momentum. While the case dragged on, Truth Hurts was pushed out of the spotlight. Her follow-up single flopped, and the industry moved on. It was a cruel twist. What made the song so addictive also destroyed her career. Despite guest vocals on tracks with Jay-Z and Eve, she never found her way back. Was she a victim of bad luck, bad timing, or both? 1. Mona Lisa. At just 15, Mona Lisa stunned the Apollo crowd with her voice, and her debut single in 1996 proved she had real star power. Can't Be Wasting My Time blended smooth vocals with hip-hop flair and earned radio play and chart buzz. But the momentum didn't last. Her follow-up single didn't connect, and her planned second album quietly disappeared. Rather than chase fading fame, Mona Lisa turned her focus to school, writing, and modeling. Though she popped up on a few tracks later, the big comeback never happened. Was she ahead of her time or just lost in the shuffle of changing trends? Either way, her voice left a lasting impression on those who listened. Crazy how one song can take you to the top just as quickly. The world moves on. Fame in the R&B world can be brutal, and these 15 artists learned that the hard way. Which of these one-hit wonders do you still listen to? Or did we miss someone who deserved to be on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you love throwback R&B, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that bring the forgotten back to the spotlight.